Hello. I wanted to make a little video just to say welcome back to church. We've been having services on Sundays for a few weeks now, and having done this a few times, I'm quite confident that should anybody come to church bearing the dreaded virus, the rest of us will be able to go home safe at the end of the service without having picked that up. So I know some of you have been coming. There are others who haven't done yet, and this is really to help you to make an informed decision about when it's right for you to come back to church. So come on in. I'm here at St Michael's in Hulme Walfield, and the precautions we're taking here are the same as for all our other churches. So I'm going to start here by the door. You'll find as you arrive at church that the doors are open. We've got a door person to make sure that you don't need to be touching door handles and so on. And when it's warm, we're leaving them open, keeping the places more ventilated. And of course, as you come in, the ubiquitous hand sanitizer to make sure that we are all staying clean and safe and not bringing anything on our hands. It doesn't help to wear gloves, actually, particularly, if you're wearing gloves and thinking that's protecting me, you may be bringing germs from elsewhere and then not sanitizing as you come in. You can wear a mask if you'd like to. Most of the time during church, we're at least 2 meters from one another, so you don't need to wear it for the service. You might want to wear it as you come in, you might not, that's up to you. And then coming into church, normally someone will be there handing you an order of service and a hymn book. Well, no hymn book. We aren't able to sing. As we understand it, singing projects whatever's going on within you further, so there's a chance of spreading those virus particles. So we're not singing at the moment. Orders of service, there is one, and it won't be handed to you. It's here to pick up, and they've been placed here well in advance so that they'll be safe come Sunday, even if they weren't when they were placed there. You'll see we've got a restricted service book for the time being. 2 different orders of service in here, just morning prayer and Holy Communion. Both should be reasonably familiar to you if you've worshipped with us before. It does say on the bottom, once you pick up this booklet, it is yours forever. And there's even a place to write your name. So the idea is you're not going to hand it back to anybody. You can take it home, bring it back next time. Or if you prefer, you can download a copy of this on your smartphone or tablet. It's available on our app for download. Come in a little bit further. We are roping off a certain number of pews. We haven't done so yet in Hulme Walfield here, but they'll be done by Sunday. We're doing that so that we know that we've got a good space between everybody. We can't use all the pews, unfortunately. Now, in 2 of our churches in particular, that means that we have got not very many pews available. So if you're coming to Eaton or Siddington churches, could you please call and book? I know you should just be able to turn up, but if you can call, the numbers are on the app or in the magazine. If you can call and book, then we know that we've got enough pews for the folk who want to come and that we won't be turning anybody away at the doors. Now, come on forward. We are able to celebrate communion, not in both kinds, so we can't share the common cup. Whoever's leading the service, the priest on duty that day, will be consecrating bread and wine, but it's only the priest that will be consuming the wine. For the rest of us, it's the consecrated bread only. And when we come to receive that, just to make sure that we're safe, well, first of all, we're taking great precautions when we're setting up the altar. And I believe that when I'm leading a communion service, I'm sanitizing my hands 4 times during the service, just to make sure that I'm not touching anything with contaminated hands. And at this point, I will be wearing a mask. And if you're coming to receive communion, I'd ask you to wear a mask too, because the bread's there and we're breathing over it. So it's just an extra precaution. Rather than going up to the altar rails, the consecrated bread will be brought down here to the chancel step, and then pew by pew you'll be invited to come up, and that pew going back so that people aren't crossing too closely. You'll also be offered some hand sanitizer at that point as you receive. So it's all very simple and straightforward, really. We just need to make sure that the churches are clean, which they are. We need to make sure that we're not getting too close, which we're not, and not sharing our germs with anybody else. And that, I'm very confident, is going to keep us all safe. The last thing I want to say is about our particular use of St Michael's Church here in Hulme Walfield, because we're making this our shielding church. So we're asking people not to come here if they're going to work, if they're going out shopping in the supermarket, if they're generally in contact with people and at a higher risk of contacting the virus. So that means it's then free for those who feel more vulnerable, who are more vulnerable, and can come with a greater certainty that the risk of coming into contact with the virus here is very low indeed. So here it's just going to be morning prayer. We won't be having communion. The ministers who are taking the services here are themselves shielding, and we've got a greater space here. It's the biggest of our churches, and there's plenty of space to spread people far and wide. Having said that, it is good to gather together, and so you're very welcome here if you're in that category of higher risk should you catch it, but lower risk of actually carrying it. So do feel free to come and join us here. In each of our churches now, we are having services every other Sunday, and that will continue through July and August. And then come September, we think we're going to be back to something like our normal roster of services, with services each week in our parish churches. And then if it's still needed here as a shielding church, every other week here at Hulme Walfield. So whether it's here or in one of our other churches, look forward to seeing you when you feel ready to come back and join us. Until then, take care and God bless.